You know, in the world of cybersecurity, what's the real difference between a hero and a villain? Well, sometimes it really just comes down to a single piece of paper. And today, we're diving into that exact paper for anyone taking cyber courses in Fairfax County Public Schools. It's called the White Hat Agreement. And trust me, this is way more than just boring paperwork. It's your code of conduct. So let's break down exactly what it means.
In the digital world, that line between good and bad can get, well, it can get really blurry, really fast. But almost always it boils down to your own personal code. It's all about the ethical choices you make with the power and the skills you have. And that right there, that's exactly what this agreement is here to help you build.
So, first things first, let's get our terms straight. What even is a white hat? Well, think of them as the heroes of the story. These are the good guys, the ethical security pros who hunt for vulnerabilities not to cause chaos, but to actually fix them. They make systems stronger. And this agreement? This is your very first step to officially earning that white hat.
All right, so how does this whole thing work? Well, the first section is all about what you're being given access to. And it's a lot. Think of it like someone handing you the keys to a very, very powerful kingdom. In this case, the school's network and the whole suite of professional-grade security tools.
Here's a good way to think about it. You would never, ever hand a teenager the keys to a high-performance sports car without them going through driver's ed first, right? Of course not. It's the exact same idea here. These are incredibly powerful tools you're about to learn, and they require skill, precision, and, most importantly, a serious sense of responsibility.
And believe me, the stakes are incredibly high. The agreement itself says it pretty plainly. A simple mistake, or even worse, a bad choice, can cause real-world damage. This isn't a video game, it's a training ground for people who are going to be serious professionals one day.
And that brings us to a really crucial point. This agreement, it's not optional. Not at all. It's a prerequisite. If you want to get your hands dirty in the lab exercises and, actually get credit for your work, you have to agree to follow these rules. It really is that simple.
Okay, so once you've accepted that responsibility, it's time to make a pledge. This next part of the agreement covers all the positive commitments you're making. This is where you formally agree to act like a professional, a true white hat.
And this is where the agreement really starts to spell out what being a pro looks like. First, you promise to stay in your lane. You'll only examine the special course accounts you've been assigned, nothing else. Second, if you find something, a vulnerability, you report it right away to your instructor. And third, and this is huge, you agree not to tell anyone else about it. That's a core principle called responsible disclosure.
And the pledge keeps going with some more really key promises about trust and transparency. You agree that if you happen to come across any private info, you'll keep it confidential. You also have to actively accept that your account might be monitored. Total transparency. Then you agree to hold the instructors and the school district harmless for anything that happens in the course. And finally, you promise to follow all the existing FCPS computing policies and, of course, all relevant laws. It's a complete top-to-bottom commitment.
You can really start to see how this all fits together, right? The positive promises, all the do's, are perfectly balanced by some really clear don'ts. For example, reporting a vulnerability to the right person is the professional flip side of not disclosing it to the wrong people. It's a complete ethical framework.
So let's take a closer look at those don'ts. These are the hard lines, the absolute no-goes. These are the things that a white hat hacker just does not do. Frankly, crossing these lines is what separates an ethical pro from a malicious actor.
The first set of red lines is absolutely critical. You promise you will not try to gain root access or escalate your privileges on any system. The document even gets specific here. This includes not editing the virtual machine you're given. You also double down on the promise not to disclose private info you find. And you will not do anything that modifies or denies access to data or services you don't own. It's all about respecting boundaries. And those boundaries, they extend to your tools and your scope of work. You agree not to use the course tools or any of the techniques you learn outside of the structured lab environment. You also agree not to use any vulnerabilities you might find on systems that are not your assigned targets. And finally, you won't pursue legal action against your teachers or the school for things related to the course. The short version, what happens in the lab stays in the lab. Period. Okay, you've learned the rules of the road, you understand the pledge you have to make, and you know exactly where the red lines are drawn. There's really only one thing left to do. Make it official. Look, signing this document isn't just about passing a class or getting a grade. It's your first real, formal step into the world of professional cybersecurity. You're officially declaring that you get the rules. You're making a pledge to act ethically, and you're committing to use the new power you have to protect, not to harm.
And it's really important to know that this isn't a solo commitment. The document actually requires a signature from both the student and their parent or guardian. This makes sure that everyone involved completely understands the responsibilities we're talking about.
So there you have it. That's the code of conduct that's going to guide your journey into cybersecurity. It's a framework for acting ethically and a promise to be a professional. The only real question left is, are you ready to accept that responsibility and earn your white hat?